Welcome to another Nintendo Switch news roundup on the channel. Pretty much in these videos I round up all of the latest news into a video, and yeah, definitely do enjoy making these videos. I did the same with the Wii U and we'll be doing the same for the Switch, and I probably will actually make a Nintendo Switch news roundup playlist, and I will actually make it probably as soon as this video goes live. So probably there will be a link to all of my other Nintendo Switch news roundups, and that is going back to when the Switch first got revealed back in October. So in this video I will be rounding up all of the recent stuff that Reggie has had to say about the Switch, and then I will give you my thoughts on what he has had to say. So he has given two interviews, one to GameSpot, one to Time. I will leave a link to both articles in the description. So yeah, pretty much he has talked about the launch lineup, the Switch's target audience, and the reason for paid online, as well as third party support. So on launch day software and having a constant stream of support, this is what Reggie had to say about that. Launch day is not the be all and end all, and that quote alone is constantly being circulated by gaming media, and they're just saying that in the title, and people are wrongly assuming that Reggie is being cocky, and that Reggie is just being completely dismissive about the launch lineup concerns, and that is not what he was saying in this quotation, like in this article or in this interview. People are just wrongly assuming, based on these gaming media sites, just only putting in that little quote in the title. I've seen Eurogamer do it, as well as a few other people, and it's just giving Nintendo even bad press. I'm going to talk about the gaming media and how I think they're trying to um, trying to persuade people not to buy the Switch, or trying to paint the Switch into a completely negative picture and not actually talking about the positive stuff at all. So I will actually talk about that later on this week, early next week probably, on the channel. So yeah, Reggie Fils-Aimé wasn't being cocky at all when he was saying that the launch lineup isn't the be all and end all, and he is actually right, as I go on to read the interview and what he had to say about the launch lineup. I think he is completely spot on here. So launch day is not the be all and end all, it really is the steady pacing of content that continually reinforces for the people who bought into the platform why they made a smart choice, as well as what compels people who might be sitting on the sidelines to jump in. We feel we have this great ongoing march of content to motivate you to jump onto the platform. So I think he is absolutely spot on with that. I really do, because you're getting Zelda Breath of the Wild on launch day, which in many cases that is the only compelling software for a lot of people. You've got ARMS coming out in the spring. You've got Mario Kart 8 in April. You've got Splatoon 2 in the summer. Fire Emblem Warriors. You've got Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you've got Super Mario Odyssey at the end of the year, and that isn't counting E3, where more games will get announced, and that is what people are forgetting at this moment in time. People are looking at the year one lineup and saying, that is it. That is it. It's looking barren. Oh my god, Nintendo, what you doing? You're dead, you're doomed, you're buried, you're finished. Well, I'm actually going to talk about the launch lineup in general and how it compares to the PS4 and Xbox One, and it actually compares quite favourably. That's a little bit of a spoiler alert to that video that I will be making later on this week, and I will actually talk about this whole negativity surrounding this Switch later on this week as well. But yeah, I'm actually just going to jump to the Time interview now, where he has talked about the target demographic for the Switch. So Time asked who the Switch is targeted at, and they said that a lot of people assumed from the official reveal trailer in October that Nintendo would be completely abandoning the family-friendly market, and this is what he had to say about that. Furthest from the truth. So again, we believe that our systems need to be mass market systems from 5 to 95, a broad footprint, but each game is going to appeal to a certain part of that demographic, and it will fill out the the base. That strategy continues. This is a system for everybody. This is a system that will appeal to a wide group. It's going to be filled over time as the different games come in, and as I go back to the demographic issue, he goes on to explain that point furthermore. So pretty much he has said, if you look at the first 45 days, you got Zelda, 1-2 Switch and Mario Kart 8. So the active gamer, and candidly, the more the active gamer sees, the more excited they're going to be for that game. I was a Zelda fan before I was a Nintendo employee, and I can tell you that as I've experienced that game, it just gets me more and more excited to play. 1-2 Switch is a party in the box, and so that is going to be an all family type of experience that will then broaden the footprint, and then Mario Kart 8 is going to expand it even further. And so that's what I see happening. A game like ARMS will have a diverse footprint. A game like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will be much more narrow. And so I think it's the best way I could describe how the consumer base for Switch is going to evolve over time. And certainly by the end of our first full year, it'll be kids, young adults, parents and gamers occupying that footprint. What they're saying there, or what Reggie Fils-Aimé is saying there, is Nintendo are targeting the Switch at everybody. They're going to have different types of games for different types of audiences. So you got the 1-2-3 Switch for the 1-2 Switch, I should say. I keep calling it 1-2-3 Switch. So you got that game for the more gamers that don't typically play games on consoles, that maybe play games on smartphones, the so-called casual market. And then you've got Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is of course targeted towards the hardcore gamer. So that is how Nintendo are going to go about it. They're going to release different games to target different types of audiences, and I think that is actually quite smart. It will be interesting to see whether this works. I guess it all depends on how many games come out. So yeah, they've talked about, so Reggie has talked about the online, so I'm just going to talk about that as a, my notes are all over the place just because I've got two different articles, two different interviews. So yeah, let's just talk about Nintendo's online and their approach with online for the Switch. So this is what Reggie Fils-Aimé had to say about that. So people have taken shots at us for that, for their online efforts in the past. The reality is the way that online experiences have progressed, it's an expensive proposition. The amount of servers we need to support Smash Brothers or Mario Kart, these big multiplayer games, is not a small investment. There are no friend codes within what we're doing. A lot of people said that to me before the Switch got revealed, that maybe they need to pay, or maybe we need to pay for online to improve the online servers and stuff like that. I never really took that into account, just because you got Steam on there that is doing it for free. But I do believe that each individual game in Steam has their own server. So yeah, it all depends on how Nintendo go about their online, and if there is a significant improvement in games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so like if the online experience is a lot better, I'm not just talking about lag, but say like if you got more online options there, then it is justified that, it is justified for us to pay for that sort of experience. But if it's just games that are less laggy, then for me, that isn't good enough. And I feel like these games, obviously they're going to have to release more games to actually justify for charging online in the first place. And that is a big question whether Nintendo will do that. But I guess in year one you've got Mario Kart 8, you've got ARMS, and you've got Splatoon 2, which would take advantage of the online. It will be interesting to see whether they will do that throughout the rest of the generation. And it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the online subscription service pans out. We still need to know more about that. Thinking about online gamer profiles and achievements and legacy content purchased online, will Switch include a meta layer that follows players around and lets them keep those purchases? So that comes from the Time interview, and this is what Reggie had to say about that. First, there is much more that we will be sharing about our subscription service, the mechanics, the types of content you'll get access to, free on a monthly basis, the price point for the overall service. All of that information will come. Second point, as you know, we are very aware of what the consumer has articulated today as to what they want. We are very aware of what our competitors do. The way Nintendo thinks about it is we want to make the consumer happy, and we want to give them some of the elements that they have been asking for, and we want to give them things that they haven't even thought of to ask. But we also believe in differentiated experiences, if I can get my words out. We also believe in differentiated experiences. We also believe in doing things differently. And so our overall proposition will not look the same as our competitors. But what we will do is we will recognise what consumers like about our competitors. We will look to do it in a way that has a Nintendo flair to it, and we will look to make sure that in the end we've got this robust online environment that not only works well for our games like Splatoon, Mario Kart 8 and Smash Brothers, but that also works great for our third party developers. So Time asked about the third party support on the Switch and the fact that Nintendo has pointed to 80 third party Switch games in development. Given similar messaging around the Wii U, how do you reassure a nervous public that you're covered this time? And this is what Reggie had to say about that. I think in all candour, as executives, we can only say so much, and then the consumer believes or doesn't believe. However, if the question is Nintendo first party development, I can say that our pipeline is quite robust in what we are working on, and that we will deliver next year and early into the year after that. We have that visibility in our pipeline. From a third party perspective, I don't want to oversimplify things, but third party developers look for a handful of things. First, they look for a straightforward development environment in order to create their games, and that was one of the challenges with Wii U. Now with Switch, we have Unity as a platform, we've got Unreal Engine 4 as a platform. These are known development environments for content creators to build content. The second thing they look for is a consumer demographic that's going to meet their needs for the content they're creating. And so again, you got Zelda for the core, you got 1-2-Switch for the family audience, you got ARMS, you got Splatoon, you got Mario Kart 8, you got Super Mario Odyssey. That looks like a pretty wide and diverse audience to build content for. And third, they look for a large install base, and that's what we're trying to create. And then lastly, they look for a full range of ways to monetize their investment, and that's where having a robust online environment comes in. And again, we are pushing the envelope, we are doing things differently, and we are working hard to make sure that the environment exists. So as an executive for the company, I believe we're doing everything we need to create that environment for third parties. So far, they're reacting extremely positively. Bethesda hasn't been on a Nintendo platform. A fully featured FIFA hasn't been on a Nintendo console in a long time. And they then talk about, is it a challenge to get developers thinking about motion control again? And this is what Reggie had to say about that. So if you're EA and hypothetically, I have to say hypothetically, you want to make sure that FIFA, Madden and Battlefield, you want to make sure that the games you create better than anyone else can be executed on this platform. It's not that EA is suddenly going to try and learn how to make motion control games. If you're Ubisoft and you're trying to optimize Just Dance, certainly you want to make sure you're able to do that for this new platform. And so, you know, from my perspective, what I want is the best content that third party does today, and I want the best content that they're thinking about in the future. I'm not asking them to create games that are like the games that we would create, because that doesn't broaden the footprint and doesn't bring new consumers into our proposition. So I'm actually going to make a video talking about the third party support for the Switch, and I actually talked about the opposite. I said that maybe with the Switch you will get third party developers creating games like that take advantage of the motion control and the HD rumble. But Reggie is saying here that he basically wants third party devs to bring the games that they're bringing out for the PS4 and Xbox One onto the Switch. Now, At this moment in time, it looks like that will not be happening. Of course, that could change when E3 comes around, and maybe it will. Maybe some of the games that did come out recently on the other platforms, maybe they were too far in development to bring over to the Switch. But I think what is more likely is if third parties will bring games over that they think will sell well on a Nintendo platform. So Activision will bring Skylanders, Ubisoft will bring Just Dance, Lego or Warner Brothers will bring Lego Dimensions or something like that. So that is what I'm thinking. That these third-party developers will kind of treat the Switch like the Wii, how you had a bunch of party games, I should say. So that's what I think will happen. I don't think what Reggie said here, where third parties will bring the games that they will create on the other platforms. I don't think they will come out for the Switch, but I hope I'm wrong, but I just can't see that happening. So Reggie did confirm that there will not be friend codes for the Switch as well, which isn't really big news just because the Wii U didn't get friend codes. But I understand the 3DS did, so obviously there was a little bit of doubt just because the Switch is a hybrid device, whether the Switch would still have friend codes or not. So this is a flipping long video, by the way. I didn't realise this video would go on for this long. Has been a little bit boring for you to listen to. But yeah, I just found it interesting. I just found the stuff that I did talk about really interesting, and I think he is spot on in terms of the launch lineup, in terms of the year one lineup, which we still don't know fully, by the way. You got E3 coming, like I said earlier, where we will get more game announcements for the rest of this year, which will fill out the year one lineup. But even taking that into account, like if you don't take that into account, I should say, he's still pretty strong. You still got Zelda Breath of the Wild, which will last you a good couple of months. You got ARMS, you got Splatoon 2, you got Mario Kart 8, and that'll last you up until E3 probably. Maybe Splatoon will come out July, August time. And then, like I said, you got Xenoblade 2, you got Fire Emblem Warriors, and then you got Super Mario Odyssey. I think that is a strong year one lineup. If you compare that to other systems, and that is really, really strong. I think it's like these games, they are, I know a lot of people expected more just because, Nintendo have been in a little bit of a drought over the last couple of years, which Reggie did actually say that, yeah, we pretty much switched development from Wii U to the Switch in one of these interviews, which I will leave a link to in the description below. So a lot of people assumed that Nintendo would go all out. But then if they did that, what would you have in 2018 and 2019 and 2020? The same people complaining about the year one lineup now would complain if Nintendo blew all their load in year one and we got pretty much nothing throughout the rest of the generation. So I think this is a good lineup. I really do. And yeah, I'm happy with the Switch lineup. I will talk about the launch lineup, reaction to it in a future video. But that is it for this video. I need to stop this video just because this video has gone on for ages. I need to get a flipping drink. So let me know your thoughts about everything that Reggie had to say, from third party support to online, in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.